Procrastination is when you delay something because you don't want to do it, and it's the lifeblood of people with no self-control like me. I mean, how else would I have kept my self-esteem in check over these last 22 years? To give an example of procrastination, I should have posted last week, but I didn't. Let's just pretend that was on purpose. Anyhow, hi, I'm Copper Panman, and because I'm now stuck in Florida, with the world burning around me, I figured what better time to learn how to not do things. And don't worry, I'm not spreading the coronavirus to other people. It's pretty empty around these parts. Now, because I'm in Florida, I'm using pretty minimal gear. This is my girlfriend, Julia. She's moral support today. And I think the biggest thing might be that I'm just squinting all the time because the sun is literally blindingly bright. And keep in mind that the way that I broke this up is kind of arbitrary, so you can just kind of, build your own failure in no particular order. Now, as I see it, while there's 10 million blog posts out there talking about how to be more productive, really I think it's not that complicated, because if we share 84% of our DNA with dogs and we can train them not to consume shit, I mean, it shouldn't be too hard to train us to do the same. So let's use the example of a car. In this analogy, our work ethic is like the horsepower of the engine, and our productivity is like the power output that we actually get at the wheels. Now, there's a certain loss between these two things, call it procrastination, low productivity, depression, whatever you want to call it, as a result of friction. Thus, while I certainly know some people that have been bestowed with the work ethic of a weed whacker, the rest of us have to rely on putting canola oil in our gas tanks so that we can feel justified bitching about how hard life is while people in the third world don't even have wheels. So instead of feeling like you just emerged from a vat of lube and now you're arcing down a bowling lane towards your completed task, you want it to feel like you're dragging all 22 years worth of your dead aspirations through a 15-mile sand pit. And there's 3 ways to do this corresponding to the 3 types of friction. The first is to make your tasks hard to complete. Now, you'll often hear people say things like, oh, just start a task for 5 minutes, and then, you might just trick yourself into finishing the whole thing. Those people underestimate me. I think they're also missing the point because while certainly momentum is a thing, you usually don't need that advice if you've actually broken up your task into its component pieces already. Nobody says, oh, fuck, I don't want to open PowerPoint. I guess I'll just try for 5 minutes and hope for the best. Because that task is a starting point, while something like study is not. By writing down study, you've actually written a hidden task, which is figure out how to study and then do that thing. Now, it's even worse if you've written down get good grades because now you have to do that process 2 times. So if you write down tasks that are really abstract and in no way actionable, you should be in a good place to end up getting nothing done. Alternatively, instead of making tasks figuratively hard to complete, you could make them actually hard to complete, for instance, by having ADHD, having Reddit open right next to Word, being right next to a beach where people are having fun, or having a computer that's copy of Windows is corrupted, so every time you put it to sleep, it just doesn't wake back up unless you restart it. Yeah, this is just my personal venting forum. The final step to becoming a professional failure is to do with your incentives what you're currently doing with your parents' hopes and dreams for you. Torpedo them. And there's 3 ways to do it. First, forget why you wanted to do something in the first place. I mean, after all, you wouldn't be doing it at all unless it got you something that you wanted, right? While you're at it, make sure to not give yourself rewards for the things that you've completed. For instance, playing Steam for 15 minutes because you've just completed 50 minutes of work, or only eating out once your script is completed. Note that I'm not talking about long-term goals, like, for instance, buying yourself a camera once you get to 1,000 subscribers, because in my experience, those work about as well as Ohio's road crews. So they don't. A for effort, but I'm still gonna blow out my suspension. Just imagine if someone told you, I'm gonna give my dog 50 treats once he reaches 50 fetches to incentivize him to fetch more. You'd call them an idiot. So why would you try that with yourself? Oh, it's because I'm smarter than a dog? Oh, is it your intelligence that's making you not wash your toilet for 3 weeks? And finally, and this is a biggie, blame yourself for everything that you haven't gotten done yet. Never stop feeling guilty. Always compare yourself to Gary V's curated Instagram. And while you're at it, keep acting like everything that you're doing is not arbitrary in the scope of the entire universe. Is what I would say if you actually wanted to be better at procrastinating, because I know most people probably don't. And, by not procrastinating, you get more time to do the things that you want to do, like watch anime or whatever the kids do these days. But I think hearing everything that you shouldn't do can sometimes be more effective than hearing everything you should do, since, sometimes wrong things are more obviously wrong than right things are right. Especially when 99% of advice sounds like it was written to get a paper's word count up. So I guess the moral of the story is just do everything opposite to what I just said, and you should be golden in life. That is assuming there's a life to come back to or an economy.
Welcome to paradise, folks.